Nityanandam. Uh, this is Sarvaishwarya. Today, I'm in New York City attending a training, and reminds me of reinventing ourselves with everything that life presents us with, whether we think it as a challenge. And in the coming episodes, Swamiji talks about the conquering life. So the context is always not, learning from the past or something future as relevant from the past, because if you do not consciously intervene and conquer, then our future is also going to be something like our past. So enjoy the episodes. Again, Sarva Aishwarya, signing off.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are strapping in for what I can only describe as a radical and philosophically demanding source. We're diving into a transcript from a spiritual and self-improvement philosophy that basically demands you stop analyzing the past you have.
Right.
And start creating the future you want.
That's right. And our mission today is really to extract the practical steps for achieving what the source calls conquer in your life.
Conquer. Not improve, not adjust. Conquer.
Exactly. This isn't about incremental self-improvement. It's a philosophy focused, entirely on demanding radical personal responsibility.
Yeah.
We're moving beyond, negotiation or adjustment or compromise.
And the most immediate, almost jarring concept is this core paradox. The source challenges the fundamental modern belief that finding the reason why you have a problem is helpful.
Which is everything. Modern therapy is built on that.
It's all about diagnosing the root cause, but this philosophy, it warns that deep diagnosis can sometimes be the most dangerous thing you can possibly do.
It defines the problem so beautifully. When you pursue the why, you're looking for the historical cause of your current problem, right? The issue comes up when that diagnosis leads you to the conclusion that this problem is so entrenched, so rooted in my past that I cannot resolve it.
I'm stuck.
You're stuck. And the source doesn't pull any punches. It labels that kind of reasoning as delusional and suicidal.
Okay, that is heavy language. Suicidal. We have to unpack that. Is the source suggesting that the analysis itself is what destroys your ability to change?
Precisely. The term suicidal is used because that type of reasoning, it kills future possibility. If you find definitive reasons that prove historically why you must be depressed or why your career must be stalled, well, you've effectively created an intellectual and emotional cage for yourself. The analysis only serves one purpose at that point.
Which is to blame the past.
To blame the past.
So blaming the past, even blaming yourself for past mistakes, is categorized as this suicidal approach. But how do you differentiate? What's the line between necessary root cause analysis that helps us see patterns?
Right, that can be useful.
And what the source is calling toxic blame.
I think the line is in the utility of the analysis. If your analysis provides a mechanism for action, right now, in the present, it's useful. But if the analysis only provides justification for your current inaction, it's poison.
It gives you permission to stay stuck.
The focus on why usually just serves to grant you and others social permission to stay right where you are.
That distinction, it rings so true, especially when we look at what people are really seeking. They aren't looking for a true solution. They're looking for consolation.
Exactly. That's the word. People are analyzing their past suffering because they're actively seeking consolation, not transformation. They want justification. They want sympathy for their current predicament. It taps into that, that very human thing that misery loves company.
If I can prove my suffering is legitimate based on something that happened to me, I get validation.
You give validation.
And that validation, that comfort blanket, that's the real trap. You find the neat, satisfying reason for your anxiety, and you stop there. The justification feels so good that the motivation to actually get out just dissipates.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, you're now more interested in perfecting your victim narrative.
Wow.
Making sure everyone understands why you're suffering than you are in actually manifesting change. And this is why the source demands such an abrupt shift in attitude. If consolation is the trap, then the only antidote has to be radical action.
So what is the philosophical price for that freedom? What does the source demand?
It's very direct. If you want your freedom, you need to take responsibility. And that responsibility is absolute. You have to assume change is possible, even if your entire life structure right now operates on the idea that it's impossible.
You have to assume internal sovereignty.
That's a great way to put it.
And that's where the conquer mindset comes in. It's such an aggressive, active word choice. This isn't adjusting, it's not manipulating or delaying. It's total victory.
That's the distinction. If you are looking for sympathy, if you're seeking pity from others or, self-pity for yourself, the source says flat out, conquer is not possible. Conquer requires a zero tolerance policy for the victim mentality.
Okay, let's go back to the past for a second. If we're aiming for this radical, uncompromising future, what do we do with all the historical data, all the failures and traumas that have shaped us?
The philosophy says you absolutely cannot negotiate or adjust with the way life has happened to you. It gives a very powerful, almost shocking analogy for how to treat the past.
Which
it should be treated as just discarded trash, X cards crossed.
Discarded trash. That's intensely polarizing. But surely we need some historical context, right? If I'm trying to solve a pattern of self-sabotage, how do I see the pattern without looking at the past?
Well, the source would argue that your patterns are visible right now, in the present moment. You don't need to dig through history to see that you procrastinate.
Okay.
By treating the history as redundant, as crossed out, you are denying it the power to inform your future. You're taking away its ability to serve as a justification. Your past can't be your inspirational mentor. It's just done.
So by calling it discarded trash, it forces you to stop trying to extract insight or sympathy from old wounds. It forces all your energy forward. Okay, so if we can't diagnose our problems from the past, how are we supposed to diagnose them at all? What's the right methodology for a conqueror?
This brings us to the second core rule. The proper method of diagnosis must be done. And this is a total mind-bender from the end of future possibility.
From the future.
Not from the context of the past. It's a complete inversion of traditional problem solving.
So instead of asking, why am I stuck here? We have to ask, what does the achieved life look like? And what must I be doing right now to align with that outcome?
Exactly. The only legitimate way to engage with your current problem is from the context of how you can take responsibility right now to make that desired future happen.
Yeah.
You look at the future, you define success, and then you let that defined success dictate your actions in the present.
That makes the present moment purely transactional. It's not about feeling or justification. It's about aligning your action with the inevitable outcome you intend to create.
That's right. But now we hit a massive internal barrier, which is one of the most brilliant insights on this whole thing.
Which is?
Sometimes people actually enjoy their problem. They enjoy their suffering.
Wait, enjoy chronic suffering? That sounds almost masochistic. How can someone possibly enjoy being stuck?
It's not the suffering itself they enjoy. It's the structure built around it. The source calls it the infrastructure of the problem.
The infrastructure of the problem.
Yeah. When you have a massive chronic issue, say chronic procrastination or being perpetually stressed, the entire infrastructure you build around dealing with that chaos makes you feel useful and fruitful, or even very brilliant.
I see it now. The identity of the busy person, the person who manages crisis, or the person who is always studying their own pain.
Precisely. If that chronic problem just vanished overnight, that entire structure, your routines, your identity as the stress solver, the hours you spend talking about the problem, all of it becomes instantly redundant.
So the subconscious fear isn't that the problem will continue.
No, it's that the infrastructure will collapse, your whole identity around it.
Just as, the road lobby profits from gridlock or certain industries thrive on chronic illness, we individually profit from our personal gridlock. The chaos gives us a job to do.
And this source suggests this is why so many established systems resist change. To give an example, far better solutions already exist for things like health and transportation that don't rely on, say, massive oil consumption. But those solutions aren't made popular because of the established infrastructure. The trillions invested in the old, inefficient method.
And the question for you, the listener, is where have you personally invested in your own inefficient suffering?
That's the question.
Wow. That is a real gut check. We are invested in our own systems, even the painful ones, because they give us an identity. Okay, so if we discard the past, diagnose from the future, and recognize that we are actively invested in our problems, what massive emotional fuel do we need to break through that resistance?
The required attitude for this kind of creation is ferocious.
Ferocious. And you cautioned earlier, this is explicitly not the same as angry.
That is the crucial distinction. Yes, angry means you are mad at the past, mad at yourself, at others, at the situation. That is destructive energy aimed backward.
Right.
Ferocious means having a powerful, highly focused intensity aimed solely at solving the problem and manifesting the desired reality. It's pure, targeted, solution-seeking energy.
So it's a cold, calculated intensity directed at creation rather than the heat of righteous anger, which only looks for blame. It's about being absolutely uncompromising with the reality you intend to build.
Absolutely. When you approach all the whys in your life, why am I irritated? Why are my relationships falling apart? You have to do it from the exclusive angle of solving and creating the new reality, never from the angle of justifying the current state.
It sounds like a mechanism for just eliminating self-pity entirely. If I ask, why am I failing? And the only acceptable answer is, what must I do right now to succeed? Then the entire emotional context just changes.
That's the breakthrough. If you look at your why to find consolation, you will always find a justification for failure. If you approach it with ferocious, solution-focused intent, the results have to be transformative.
And the outcome of applying this ferocious, solution-focused lens, the source suggests that 90% of your problems may simply not exist.
They collapse instantly because they lose the infrastructure of justification and self-pity that was holding them in place. They were, in essence, problems of justification, not problems of structure.
A complete paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And it also reframes the idea of success itself. The source distinguishes conquer from simple winning.
Winning implies limited resources. If someone wins, someone else has to lose. It's a competition.
It's a zero-sum game.
Exactly. Conquer is based on the idea of unlimited resources. You're not competing against anyone else. You're conquering your own internal limitations, conquering the infrastructure you build, and conquering the tendency to blame the past. It's a victory based on establishing total internal sovereignty over your own existence.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? Our deep dive into this. Radical philosophy has revealed that true life transformation requires 3 uncompromising commitments. First, letting the past be discarded trash and denying it any future power.
Right.
Second, diagnosing every problem exclusively from the context of the future possibility you define. And third, approaching your current reality with a focused, ferocious intent on finding the solution, free from anger or blame.
The emphasis is truly on action over analysis and creation over consolation. And that leads to a final, incredibly provocative thought the source leaves us with. If you look at your suffering and you believe you are making a sincere effort, but you see absolutely no result, if you are always stuck in the same pattern, then your actions cannot actually be called effort.
Oof. That reframes every single struggle we think we're putting energy into. If there's no movement, the effort wasn't genuine.
It raises the vital question. Where are you mistaking chronic analysis and self-pity for genuine forward momentum? How might identifying just one area of your life where you confuse consolation, sympathy, blame, justified suffering for genuine effort change the outcome you're seeking? Go find the solution, not the sympathy.